Hey guys, last video for today, and I'll get to some picks tomorrow for the subscribers. If we see anything that's really interesting, we're looking for really high probability, low risk trades. I mean, the Boeing trade today; these are just intraday trades. We're not doing swing trades yet in this market, given the posture of the market and the levels that we're at. I'm expecting actually a positive day tomorrow, believe it or not, and here's why. And I may be wrong, but tomorrow's going to be a pivotal day. It's important that we close green tomorrow. If we don't close green, I believe we're going to trade down probably to the 305, 306 area. I know it sounds like a lot, and it sounds a little bit crazy, but that's my take on the market here. So, interesting thing is that every time we got above the 314 area, we had these little reversal dojis, and you can see open above, close below, open above, close towards the low, open above, close towards the low, open above, close towards the low. The last few days is the first time that we've actually had a close above, an open actually at around 315 and a close above it. We got it on yesterday's, and then today we simply opened up midway in the channel, intraday channel line, and then back down, closing towards the bottom end. But if you look at this on our wider range channel, we hit the top, we backed off, we back tested, we pushed through, and now we have 4 closes above the descending reversal line from the island reversal that we had with the gap. So we should have back tested, open above, close on it, back tested, and then failed here if we were going to go lower. We would have failed right there around 309, 310. We said above 310, the bulls are in charge. The bulls are still in charge right now. So we get back above there, and what do we do? 1, 2, 3 days, we stay inside the yellow channel line. We always say 4 is the magic number. So tomorrow we really need to close above, let's say right around 314.50 area. And I'd expect that we do. I don't know. A lot of the market cycles here are moving bifurcated. In other words, you have, like, let's look at the XLF, the financials. Those have been weak, right? Continue to move down while the market's moving up, right? Big move up, pull back, bounce, and then dead. Just kind of gradually going lower and lower and lower. The problem is the NASDAQ's been raging, hitting all-time highs, and a lot of these stocks like Boeing and a lot of the Dow Jones stock, that's why I've been short the Dow, and I covered a lot of my position today, have been weak. But they're getting close to the lower ends of their channels. So you could actually have another day of rotation again where the NASDAQ is either flat to slightly weak, and then the Dow Jones and SPY are kind of pushing to the upside. So given that we're on the bottom end of the channel on the yellow area that we've been following from a macro perspective on SPY, I would expect possibly a bounce. If we don't bounce, then I do believe that we are going to close that little gap into here between this trend line to the upside and the lower, more sideways trend line, at least the top of that channel, which puts us around 305 depending on the time frame. So tomorrow's crucial. We must have a green day tomorrow, I believe. Very, very important. We close outside the yellow line. I believe we're going to go hit our sideways, more of a gradual consolidation that we've been able to break out of and then back test and then push up. But this is interesting that you can stay elevated here within the gap and not completely collapse yet. Today, literally closing on the line. So tomorrow is going to be important to see. I mentioned AYRO. There's something about this stock that I like. I hate to see that it's been at 36 cents back in April. But it's even up and after hours right now. We talked about this one being the one that stands out on the electric vehicle. This is NIO, N-I-O. And this above this Fibonacci at 5.93 is strong. As long as this holds above 5.93, we could go back up and tag this top channel tomorrow in the 640s, 650s, maybe even higher. It may go retest the all-time highs on this that we've seen recently. But price history, going back, let's say 10 years on this, is interesting because you'll see that we got into this area here, and it's kind of like we're between this huge drop off, right? If you bought this stock in this area, you held this trend line for a while, and on this candle you broke it. So this is a month of trading on this support level here, and then you break it with this candle here on pretty decent volume. So that area there is 7, which I suspect will be closing resistance. And then after that, there's really nothing until above 8. And then above there, you really have a lot of room until you get into the 9s. So it's refusing to kind of break below there. Now, there's another closing gap or another closing trend line base around 435, and we're well above that. So it's kind of in this weird area here where it should gravitate towards to the upside. And you can see the intraday on the last, let's say, 5 trading days on the 20-minute charts is showing kind of a stronger mood to the upside, if anything, right? If this was the wide channel on 15-minute closings, and it's hard to explain, I'm not going to get into the details on this move here, though. It's kind of gravitating towards the upside, if anything. So I know there's a big pullback from the 8s, but refusing to break and then pull back and then making a higher low and then a higher high and then kind of pulling back up again is definitely bullish action. And the bigger volume has been to the high side for sure versus the sell side. So just keep in mind, if we do open up weak tomorrow, and this is one of the stocks that's pulling back after ours is really thin, 615 by 620. I mean, if we open up in 570s tomorrow because the market's weak, this could be one to reverse for sure. NEO's also been strong, and IO, that's also moving up in after hours, looking to attack the recent highs. So Solo is a little bit of a laggard. I don't like the product from a fundamental perspective as much, but you are starting to get a curl here. If you kind of look at this pivot in here, it is starting to kind of peak up once again after hours. But we keep an eye on this stuff too because it's important to kind of figure out, where we're at in the grand scheme of things. So that we have a plan for the next morning when we open up and the market opens up weak. These are some of the stocks that seem to be holding up well, and we'd like to buy those on weakness because those 1 minute, 5 minute charts aren't going to really matter. Once these things start to base and pull back up and the buyers come in, you're going to get quick swings from red to green on some of these stocks. So interesting moves there. SPY really right on a support level, so I don't want to take my chances. The market's been pretty resilient lately, especially with some of the bifurcation that you've seen in some of the indices. You could have actually a strong day in financials tomorrow. You could have a strong day in oil tomorrow. And then we'll look at some other trades too as the day goes on tomorrow. Intraday, that's what the trade alerts are for. I'm still kind of neutral on HEPA. I'm completely out of the position, HEPA, but it does still look a little bit interesting here. I like the long-term chart on it. I like the news. And I'm not too down on intraday action today, to be honest with you. Let's look at the 1 minute on the intraday. Didn't look too shabby, to be honest with you. Not a bad move. So HEPA also goes on the watch list. I know we broke trend here, right? But we came back tested, then came back lower. But then once again, look at that move. I mean, this should have been a continuation move, right? And what do we do if you look at these little pivot break points? And this is how we trade. Back test. This is your sell. And then you're out of it. You make a lower low, and you're like, all right, this could be donezo. But then you fire back up. I don't know whether it's a big short position covering in here. But now you're getting moves, like I said, from 395 to 415 is your support. Then you fire back up. And we did on the trade alert. We said that it might be one more move in this left in the day. And it broke and hit a new all-time high before the close. And then sold off in just as weak hands don't want to carry it over. But interesting action here, to take note the next day. Don't like to see it break this low in after hours. That's why this one's not super positive for me, but cool one to keep an eye on.